conceptual frameworks, it still provides general principles and the perspectives for our nursing practice, for our education, and for our research. And these theories are highly theoretical because of their highly abstraction, and this theory offers comprehensive review of the nature, the goals, and the structure of nursing rather than addressing specific clinical situations. So these are the theories that were not tested but formulated or created. It describes more on the concepts of health, environment, person, and nursing care. So these are the four concepts, the four major concepts of grand theories: health, environment, person, and nursing care, which is part of our holistic care. And of course, it was formulated in a philosophical manner, forming the foundation for middle range and practice level theories. So grand theories are the basis for forming the middle range and practice level theories. Okay. Now, Nightingale theory, what it is and what is not. For Nightingale theory, it is about taking a patient in the best condition for nature to act upon him and not just treating the disease. So it's more on the environment. That's why it is known as environmental theory. It really focuses on the environment. Nightingale highlighted the importance of environmental factors, and we all know that she focused on clean air, on pure water, on proper drainage, cleanliness, and of course, light in promoting health and recovery. So it's more on environmental sanitation. So when we say what nursing is under this theory is that it focuses on health promotion, prevention, and assisting recovery through proper care. And what is not is that it is not merely following physician orders. It is not only about administering medications or doing technical tasks. And it is not only a passive care, but an active, skilled profession based on knowledge. Now, the core concepts of this theory is more on the environment. Here, nursing influences the patient's environment to promote healing, and it is a patient-centered care because it treats the person as a whole. It considers the physical, the emotional, and the social needs. Now, if we go to Henderson, it is all about the principles and practice of nursing, and it is well known as the First Lady of Nursing and the Mother of Modern Nursing. Now, the principles and practice of nursing started in 1955, and Henderson defined nursing as assisting individuals, whether the patient is sick or well, and performing activities that contribute to health, contribute to recovery, contribute to a peaceful death, which they would do unaided if they had the strength, will, or knowledge. Now, Henderson created the 14 basic needs, focusing on promoting independence that meets the needs. And she emphasized the unique function of the nurse to help patients gain independence as quickly as possible. Now, the key concepts of Henderson is to assist the patient to achieve independence and focus on the basic human needs, which are breathing, eating, movement, elimination, safety, communication, and learning. So this is intrinsic, while Nightingale is more on extrinsic. Now here, the nurse acts as a substitute, doing for the patient, as a helper, which she assists the patient, as a partner, in which she works with the patient, and this depends on the patient's needs. Now we go to Abdullah. This is a patient-centered approach to nursing. It is it was created in 1960 at calling us a patient-centered nursing model. It focuses on nursing as a problem-solving process tailored to individual patient needs. If Nightingale focuses on the environment and Henderson focuses on the intrinsic or the internal, like breathing, no? This theory focuses on the 21 nursing problems that serves as a basis for nursing practice, education, and research. Now, her approach is typically a holistic care that address physical, emotional, sociological, and spiritual needs. Now, since this is well known as patient-centered nursing model, it aims to solve the 21 problems observed, which is a scientific discipline that involves identifying and resolving patient problems. Since it is a patient-centered, the care should be individualized and based on patients' unique needs rather than routines. So it is based on the actual patient's needs. That's why it is patient-centered. This theory shifted nursing from a disease-oriented model to a patient-focused care approach, influencing modern nursing diagnosis and care planning. So in other words, it encompasses the traditional theory of Nightingale and mid 19th century naman si Henderson at ito naman siya 1960s. Ito yung start ng modernization. Now, Oram self-care deficit nursing theory, developed in 1971, focuses that nursing is needed when an individual is unable to meet their own self-care needs. So it is focused on the activities of daily living of the patient. It is also called a self-care theory. People have a natural ability and responsibility to care for themselves. And when we say self-care deficit theory, nursing is required when a person cannot perform self-care independently. Now, the nursing systems theory, nurses assist through wholly compensatory, partly compensatory, or supportive educative systems. So these are the three interrelated parts of Dorothea Orem's self-care deficit nursing theory. The goal here is really to help patients regain independence in self-care and, of course, to maintain health and well-being. Now we go to Johnson Behavioral System Model. It was developed in 1968. It viewed an individual as a behavioral system which composed of 7 subsystems. These are attachment affiliative, dependency, ingestive, eliminative, sexual, aggressive, and achievement. Now, each subsystem has its goal, has a set of behaviors, and requires balance for optimal functioning. So from the word behavioral system model, it really focuses on the behavior of the patient. The main idea here is that the nursing's role is to maintain or restore balance and stability in the patient's behavioral system during illness or stress. So here, the nurse role is more on external regulatory force to help the patient adapt and achieve equilibrium. Now, for Betty Newman system model was introduced in 1972. She viewed the patient as an open system, interacting with internal and external environment stressors. So the model focuses on stress reduction and prevention, which aims to maintain or restore stability through the 3 levels of prevention. So you know this already, you are familiar with this kasi very common ito ginagamit even during your college days. Now, primary prevention is more on reducing the risk factors before stressors invade. Secondary is the early treatment after symptoms appear. So, pre-stress is primary prevention, during the stress is the secondary prevention, and when we say rehabilitation after treatment, it's more on the tertiary prevention. Now, we nurses, our role here is to help strengthen the patient's lines of defense and resistance. Then, promoting the optimal wellness of the patient. It is widely used in community health and holistic nursing care. Actually, we can use this in the community but hindi natin masyado ito ginagamit. Now, in other words, grand nursing theories is based on the interactive process, which are broad, abstract, that emphasize the dynamic and reciprocal relationships between nurse and patient as they interact during the care process. So these theories are focused on communication, transactions, because patients affects emotions, no, psychologically. So that's why therapeutic communication is very important. The transactions that you have to convince the patient to follow such orders or such interventions. You offer help, you assist, or other intervention that could help them regain, you know, regain energy, and of course the interpersonal relationships rather than solely on the patient's needs or environmental factors. Now, these theories view nursing as a process of interaction where both the nurse and patient influence each other, that aims to achieve health related goals through mutual participation, understanding, and decision making. So, this is more on communication, no? Which we call nurse client interaction or nurse patient interaction. Okay. Another theories that is more on interactive are Peplau. No? Peplau was the one who divided or categorized anxiety, no, from mild, moderate, and severe anxiety. Now, Peplau focused on therapeutic interpersonal process that develops through phases. So she introduced orientation. During communication, there should be orientation, there should be a working phase and resolution phase. So this can be used in the psychotic patients, no, when nurses handle this patient. Now, the key point here, the nurse helps the patient achieve personal growth and improve coping by fostering trust and communication. Now, for Imogen King, the theory of goal attainment. Here, the nurse and the patient communicate, they set goals and work together to achieve them. So it's more on nursing homes, especially patients on rehabilitation intervention. Then help is promoted when both parties mutually set and achieve goals through interaction. Now, for Ida Jean Orlando, nursing process theory, it focuses on communication again, in which the nurse responds to the patient's immediate need for help. The key point here is the nurse uses perception, thought, and action in an interactive process to relieve the patient's distress. Now, Joyce Travel B, or what we call human to human relationship model, focuses on interpersonal process again, where the nurse helps individuals find meaning in illness and suffering. So the key point here is more on compassion, empathy, and therapeutic use of selves in the nurse patient relationship. Now, Ernestine Weidenbach is well known for the helping art of clinical nursing. It focuses on helping process directed toward a patient's need for help. Now, the key point here is the interaction involves identifying needs, providing appropriate help, and validating its effectiveness. So, if you try to check the grand nursing theories, is really based on the interactive process that affects the psychological and emotional aspect of the patient. Okay. When we say based on the unitary process, these theories view human beings as whole, irreducible, and continuously evolving energy fields. In constant interaction with the environment, they emphasize patterns, wholeness, and transformation rather than cause and effect relationships. So kanina, it is based on interpersonal process, while here it is more on unitary process. Now, under the unitary process are Rogers, known for Science of Unitary Human Beings, where humans are considered unitary energy fields. So we see human being as one unit in continuous interaction with the environment. And health here is defined as the pattern and organization of the human environmental field, where nursing promotes harmony and well-being by influencing these patterns. So when we say Martha Rogers' Science of Unitary Human Beings, they see the human person as one whole that consists of the energy fields, the openness, the pattern, and the pandimensionality of the person. Now, when we say Newman, health as expanding consciousness, here health and illness are part of the same continuum of expanding consciousness, where illness can lead to a greater awareness and personal growth, while nurses help clients recognize patterns in their lives to promote understanding and healing. Now, the core concepts here is more on pattern recognition, the consciousness, the health illness as transformative process. When we say rhizopars, it is more on the human becoming, the human being. So she is known for the human becoming theory. It focuses on the human beings as co-authors of their health and life experiences in relation with others and their environment. She believed that nursing is about being present, respecting clients' lived experiences, and co-creating meaning in health and illness. So in other words, the nurse here is an active listener. The core concepts here, if you are an active listener, you can view the meaning of what the patient feels, think, no? The rhythmicity, the transcendence that you can observe to the patient. Now, when we say grand theories under the unitary process framework, it emphasizes that people cannot be separated into parts, meaning people have the mind, body, and spirit, and it is a whole human being. Then when we say health, it is not just simply the absence of disease, but there is pattern, there is meaning, and there is transformation. Now, if they are receptive to those intervention, there is modification. Nursing involves partnering with patients in their journey toward greater well-being and consciousness. So meaning the nurses here should be patient in rendering nursing care. Now we go to low-range theories. This is more on when we say scope and focus is more narrow and often specific to certain populations, settings, or clinical practices. So it directly applies to nursing practice, which is also easy to test and measure. It is often practiced which is more on practice-based protocols or models. Now, when we say law theories are context-bound explanations of phenomena that guide practice in specific setting, rather than attempting to explain broad universal truths, in which grand nursing theories has this kind of characteristic. They are broad and the abstraction is very severe or high. Now, in low range theories, these are the spin-offs middle range theories, adapted and tested for very specific groups. Now, low range theories can be also be part of the middle range theories. Now, when we say low range theories, it is focused more on specific group of population affected, like pedia, elderly, and maternal and child nursing. Just like the theory of a peaceful end of life, it is formulated or created for the patients uh, who have terminal cancer or they are terminally ill, waiting their time to end. And this is a good theory. The theory of uncertainty in illness is also categorized as middle range, but often applied at practice level in very specific settings. Now, when we say low range theories, meaning it is often applied in the nursing practice. And these theories were all tested. Kasi nga, nakakategorize siya kaagad para saan na pasyente. Now, when we say uncertainty, it helps nurses understand and address patient uncertainty in chronic illness. Now, the Swanson's theory of caring, it describes caring processes in nurse-patient relationships. Knowing, being with, doing for, enabling, and maintaining belief. So these are the components of caring according to Swanson. Now, Reed's theory of self-transcendence explains how patients facing life-threatening situations that expand self-boundaries and find meaning. That's why it is called self-transcendence. Now, to Kolkaba, it is more on comfort theory, although we have another comfort theory in the way back in the mid 19th century, but it was not tested. Okay. Now, here, Kolkaba's comfort theory applied when there is a specific concept of intervention, just like comfort interventions in post-surgical patients, no? It deals with specific units and it functions as a law theory. Okay? Yung kay ano naman, kay Gene Watson's comfort theory, it was not really tested kaya na-belong siya sa grand theories. Okay? This one is low theories, low range theories kasi nga na-test siya. Empirical situation, specific theories develop in practice. So a nurse develop model for reducing anxiety in preoperative children or a ward-based theory on how trust develops between psychiatric nurses and patients or a unit-specific theory of wound care adherence among diabetic patients. So when we say madali lang maintindihan yung low-range theories, meaning these are the theories are used in nursing practice. Okay? Ito yung summary. I will give this PowerPoint para mas madali yung masterin nyo. Meron ditong Millais transition theory which applies to maternity, immigration, or chronic illness. Of course, well-known si Leininger sa cultural, no? applied to a particular cultural group in specific clinical care. And this is also considered a middle range theory kasi you can also use this to different different group of people. Now, middle range theories, nursing theories that fall between grand theories, no, broad, abstract, hard to test, and low practice level theories, which are narrow, situation specific. The middle range theories are more specific, testable, and practical explanations of phenomena, but are still broad enough to be applied across different situations. So in other words, kaya siya tinawag na middle range, although specific siya, but they found out that still difficult to practice, no? If i-apply mo. Kasi nga, medyo broad pa rin siya. Now, the characteristics of middle range theories, moderately abstract, less abstract than grand theories, more abstract than practice level theories. Focused in scope, addresses a specific phenomenon like pain, coping, comfort, uncertainty, and caring. So, pwede siya sa middle range, pero hard to test. Testable and measurable can be supported or refuted through research. So, kailangan talaga mag-research. Applicable to practice, directly guide nursing interventions, education, and policies. It bridged the role while connecting high-level theoretical thinking with day-to-day nursing practice. So example, ito yung sinabi mo kanina, pwede siya sa low range, pwede rin siya sa middle range. Pag sa low range siya, meaning nagamit siya sa research at na-apply siya for how many, sabihin natin, 3 research or 3 experimentation. But if not yet used, example, isang beses lang, mabilong pa rin siya sa middle range. No? Like Kolkaba, Michel's Uncertainty, Swanson's, Pender's Health Promotion Model, Leininger, and the Reed Self-Transcendence Theory. So, para hindi kayo malito, low-range theory, always remember that these theories are easily testable and applicable. You can apply right away, no, in the different field of nursing. Now, evidence-based practice nursing theory, ABP in nursing, is the integration of the best available research evidence, clinical expertise, and patient preferences to guide nursing care and decision-making. Now, it is not a single theory, but is often guided by theoretical frameworks or models that help nurses apply research into practice. Now, when we say theories and models that supports EBP, we have what we call a UA model of evidence-based practice. This guides nurses in identifying problems, reviewing research, and applying evidence into clinical decision-making. It is widely used in hospitals as evidence-based projects. No? Lalo na sa government, I think you are required to do some research. In academe, still research. Stettler model of evidence-based practice, it provides a step-by-step process for integrating research findings into clinical practice. And it focuses on individual practitioners making evidence-based decision. So ang AWA, pwede siya group research, but Stettler, it's individualized. Now, how to promote evidence-based practice in nursing? Education and training. Through education and training like undergrad, no, masters, and of course, with nurses with terminal degrees. They provide workshops or training, seminars, and continuing professional education or practicing nurses. Of course, you are taught how to do search literature, appraise critically, and how to utilize old and new research. Second is leadership and organizational support. If you are into research, of course, your supervisors or your bosses will really support you through funds or grant, no? Nurse leaders and managers should create a culture of inquiry, provide protected time and resources for nurses to engage in ABP projects, and establish ABP committees or champions in healthcare organizations. Another is the access to evidence. Ensure nurses have access to databases, journals, and clinical guidelines. This promote the use of clinical decision support tools and evidence summaries, develop policies and protocols based on current evidence. Now, if you don't want to use an actual patient, you can use a lot of literature. You can find example from 100,000 literature. You end up 10,000 literature as your evidence-based. Barriers to evidence-based practice in nursing, we have individual and organizational. So when we say individual, which is nurse-related barriers, lack of knowledge and skills in research. So if nurses have lack of knowledge, meaning they have they are not confident in doing research, no, especially the evidence-based project. And of course, if you have limited training in literature searching, negative attitudes also, you have, if you observe resistance to change and practice, and of course, low self-esteem or low confidence in applying evidence to patient care if you don't have that kind of training. But through enrolling in higher ed, of course, that is another benefit. Now, organizational barriers, time constraints. Syempre, heavy workloads, no? You leave a little time for research and then matagal. Kung matapos mo, matagal. Of course, insufficient resources, especially for those working in small hospital, no? Or technology-wise, kulang. So, lack of access to databases, journals, updated guidelines, then limited administrative support for EBP initiatives, and rigid organizational culture resistant to new practices. Another research related barriers is that findings are often complex, technical, or not user friendly. Then lack of clinically relevant studies for specific nursing problems, difficulty in translating evidence into practical guidelines, and rapidly changing evidence that can cause confusion. So it is really better to have to employ research, no, that undergoes from a technical panel so that they will screen from title, from the content, and it could be a usable product and publishable one, and hindi masayang yung iyong effort of doing such research. Collaboration and communication barriers, lack of interdisciplinary teamwork, poor communication between nurses, physicians, and other healthcare professionals, or absence of mentors or EBP champions to guide staff nurses. So kung parating nag-abroad yung mga EBP champions who will guide the staff nurses. Patient-related barriers. Here, patient preferences or cultural beliefs may conflict with evidence-based recommendations. Low patient health literacy, making shared decision-making harder. Then there would be reluctance to adopt new interventions. Lalo na yung if you want to study illiterate patients, mahirap matapos yung data collection. Now, collaboration and mentorship. Encourage interdisciplinary teamwork like nurse and other co-workers, physicians, pharmacists, or researchers. Then you have to pair with novice nurses with EBP mentors to guide them in projects. Then build networks of EBP champions across units. Then you also translate nursing theories and research findings into clinical protocols. No? Use EBP frameworks or models. Then conduct unit-based projects and quality improvement studies. Another is recognition and incentives. Acknowledge and reward nurses kasi kung walang reward, so ma-disappoint sila and hindi motivated to implement the EBP innovations. Share success stories or improve patient outcomes through EBP, and encourage publication and presentation of EBP projects. Now, nursing theories and models supporting EBP, we have Johns Hopkins Nursing EBP model. We have the ARCC, no? Advancing Research and Clinical Practice through Close Collaboration model. We have Paris Framework, or Promoting Action on Research Implementation in Health Services. And of course, we have to use nursing theories. While EBP models are often considered frameworks rather than grand or middle range theories, they connect closely to nursing theory because they translate theory and research into practice. Many middle range theories, example Kolkaba's comfort theory, Pender's health promotion model, and Michel's uncertainty in illness theory, provide the conceptual basis for research studies that feed into evidence-based project. That's why in every research you have your theoretical framework and conceptual framework and theoretical framework. In short, nursing theories generate knowledge. Through research, it can be tested. Now, if it has a positive result, then you can apply because of that evidence that it has a positive effect on the patient. Now, the application of theory in nursing practice is essential because theories provide a structured framework that guides assessment, interventions, communication, decision making, and evaluation of care. So it sounds like ADPI. They bridge the gap between abstract concepts and real life nursing situations. So the structured here is assessment, planning and implementing care, and then improving communication. So if it is all about assessment, example here is the use of self-care deficit theory because you will have to assess the patient's ability to perform. Now, in planning and implementing care, example here is that when the nurse design care plans that promote adaptation in different core concepts like physiological, psychological, and social domains. Now, when we say communication, that is interpersonal relations, it's more on Peplau's interpersonal relation that improves nurse-patient or nurse-client relationships, and of course, therapeutic communication. So here, when we say communication, it involves both the non-verbal and verbal communication. Then again, promoting EBP. Nursing theories act as a foundation for research. So it ensures interventions that are scientifically tested and effective. Like Pender's health promotion model, it is often applied in community health programs to promote healthy behaviors. Now, enhancing professional identity, in applying this theory, it distinguished nursing from disciplines by emphasizing holistic patient-centered care. Now, for example, Watson's theory of human caring, it highlights the humanistic side of nursing and reinforcing nursing's unique identity. Now, in evaluation, theories provide criteria to measure whether care was effective. Now, for example, the Newman Systems model, the nurse evaluates how well the patient maintained or regained system stability. Now, in practice, like hospital setting, when we use Oren's theory, it guides the discharge planning for post-op surgical patients. Now, for community health nursing, you apply Pender's health promotion model to design wellness programs. In mental health nursing, you can apply Peplau's theory in counseling sessions to strengthen therapeutic relationships. In critical care nursing, you can use Roy's adaptation model to support patients coping while with life-threatening illnesses. Now, nursing theories serve as roadmaps in practice. It guides assessment, planning, intervention, communication, evaluation, and research. Now, by applying this theory, we nurses can deliver consistent, holistic, and evidence-based care. We cannot just apply nursing care, but we do observe and assess. And of course, we have to plan what nursing intervention. So through testing, through research, whatever positive outcome, so yun ang gagamitin mo as your evidence-based, and you can apply the whole through the process. Now again, as a review, the level of theory, we have grand, high abstraction, middle, moderate, and practice level, low abstraction. Okay, these are the sample questions. Example, I will ask what distinguishes a grand nursing theory from a middle range or practice level theory. So you can explain using this one. And of course, maraming explanation dito. And then another question, describe the characteristics and purposes of grand theories in nursing. So nandyan pa rin sa PowerPoint. It depends upon how you will apply that one. Of course, through your nursing practice, kung saan kayo in a different nursing field, you can apply also according to your experiences. Then how did historical and social context influence the development of early grand nursing theories? You all know, no, from the first slides up to the last slide, no, alam nyo anong nangyari sa traditional theories. They were never tested, but they were used by middle range theories, and middle range theories can also become a low range theories that it can directly applies to nursing practice. Now, how does a grand theory guide nursing knowledge, research, and education? So, itong question na ito, just think of the ADPI, no? Assess, no? You assess, you implement, no? And then you plan, you intervene or implement, and then you evaluate. And then just apply according to, do not memorize, just familiarize the content and then apply according to your experience. Discuss how nursing theories and models support the implementation of EBP in nursing care. So just familiarize the IWA and the different support of EBP. Explain the role of nursing theories in guiding evidence-based clinical decision-making. You can cite at least one nursing theory and one EBP model in your discussion. Okay? Then, a nurse observes an increase in hospital-acquired infection in a medical ward. So, explain how evidence-based practice model and a nursing theory can be used to address this problem. So, marami akong sample doon sa slides. Now, in community health nursing, so sikat si Pender. How can nursing theory support the application of EBP in improving population health outcomes? So, this would be the possible questions. And of course, I will not, hindi ko rin sasabihin na word by word, yun ang lalabas. But at least, this is just a sample na ma-imagine nyo na ito yung mga lalabas, hindi yung kahit saan-saan na lang ng mga questions. Basta related dito. Okay? So, I will stop share.